Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks postgame podcast. I'm Jay Zawaski with Mario Tirabassi.
Hello.
Lawrence is here. We're in Salt Lake City. Greg is back at the Delta Center gathering postgame audio. He will join us in a second. Hawks lose 5-2 in the inaugural game for the Utah Hockey Club. The Utahns.
Yeah, I mean, it's talk about a disappointing result, but it was quite the atmosphere, and we'll get into it. There's a lot to talk about from game one of the year.
There's a lot to get to. We have not discussed our 4-star yet because we're very much scrambling to get on the air here.
Well,
So maybe we skip that for today, or we can figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure
it out at some point.
Yeah, let people throw it up in the chat where they think they should be the 4 stars of the game. Maybe I'll give one to Ryan Donato. That's for sure. Played very well. All right, let's recap the scoring real quick. About 5 minutes into the game, Dylan Guenther opens the scoring. Kesserling blew right past Philip Kurashev, who I don't know if he misread the play or what, but Dylan Guenther made it 1-0. Before that goal, the Hawks had started strong. After the goal, they had a really strong shift, and then all of a sudden, it went all Utah's way. The fourth line's on the ice. They can't clear the puck. Clayton Keller scores as Nick Schmaltz whiffs on a shot, and the whiffed shot goes right to the stick of Clayton Keller and behind Peter Mrazek. Very, very, very rough. End of the first period, 2-0. Shots at the time were 6-1 in favor of Utah. Somewhere during the intermission, the scoring people found 2 extra shots for the Blackhawks, so it was officially 6-3. But here's a noteworthy thing from the first as we recap the scoring. The Mikheyev Bedard Tirabassi line was not on the ice for a single shot attempt in the first period. That's foreshadowing, mister. Second period, Hawks come out flying. They start with the Kurashev line with Jones and Martinez. Taylor Hall has a shot that Ingram stops. It lands on top of the net. Then Philip Kurashev stick handles away into a nice partial breakaway. Doesn't score there. Then he hits the post on a wide open net. Later, it was either Craig Smith hit the post, somebody else hit the post. Tyler Bertuzzi gets robbed, and then all of a sudden, Barrett Hayton again makes it 3-0 Utah. Sergachev just blasts a point shot through traffic, and Hayton got a stick on it. Sergachev and Schmaltz get the assist there. The Hawks finally get on the board after a really tough period and a half for Connor Bedard, where he was falling down, turning the puck over. This moment, to me, seemed to really get him going. Sets up Teuvo Teravainen with a beautiful pass. Teuvo with a roof shot backhander. Absolutely great. Foligno to start the third period tips an Alex Vlasic point shot right in front of the net. He is put on the line with Bedard and Teravainen for the third period, and that line plays really well. Right before the game ends, Tyler Bertuzzi hits the post. Clean as day. I thought they were going to review it, but he hits the post.
Freaking close.
Guenther scores an empty netter. Then Krause scores a redirect goal from Ian Cole late in the game to make it 5-2. So
the associate captain.
This was a frustrating game. And let's just start in the first period where, again, maybe up to the first TV timeout, a little bit more, the Hawks played well. And then all of a sudden, it just fell apart. They couldn't get the puck. They had never controlled it. It was a brutal first period.
Yeah, I don't want to say that they weren't ready to go because the
start was good.
Right out of the gate, it was fine.
Yeah.
Things were not as bad as they got in the first half of the game. But the atmosphere, I mean, we've been on the road to start the season last 3 years.
Exactly.
Pittsburgh, there was some excitement, but it wasn't like this.
No.
Colorado, there was some excitement. It was the banner raising. But this felt like a playoff game.
Yeah.
This felt like Utah. This was a big moment for the team, for the fan base. And that first 5 minutes leading up to that first goal, I don't think outside of a playoff atmosphere, I've been to a game where a crowd has been more hungry for that first goal. Every offensive touch for Utah was a crowd rise it was electric. So it was awesome. But I could sense as the start kind of wore off, that first minute or two kind of wore off, Blackhawks started to settle into the game, and then it just kind of felt like Utah is getting all the bounces. They're getting all the possession.
Yeah,
and
that Keller goal was like, Schmitz just clean whiffs on it.
Yeah.
And it goes right to him.
Yeah, and that first goal happens, and it's just like they might as well have been down 3-0 at that point.
Yeah.
And then they get down 2-0, and they're fighting from behind. But yeah, I mean, it's just it's frustrating. The stress level, the 4-letter words that you're saying to yourself.
Here we were saying them at the arena. We were thinking them.
Yes, yeah.
We're professionals, damn it.
No, we're saying it quietly.
If nothing else,
we're saying it quietly to ourselves. But it's just because coming into this season, there's new faces. Like there's new expectations. There's new energy that's supposed to be coming into this team. And the first half of that game was just like, it's the same.
It was the same
thing. It's the same thing.
It looked at the preseason, which is extremely troubling at the time.
Well, yeah. I looked at
the preseason was horse crap.
Yeah, because it was mostly this group doing the same thing. But it was last year's team just with new guys. And it was just like, are we doing this again?
Not doing this again for 82.
Luckily, that start of the second period, I know they get down, 3-0, but it turned.
Yeah.
And it started to feel better. And you don't want to have to come back from 3-0. But they made it interesting. They fought back.
Let's put a pin in that real quick. In our haste to get the show started, we failed to remind people to smash the like button, subscribe. I forgot to tell people to smash the like button,
let's go.
To subscribe to the YouTube page. And if you're listening on the good old fashioned podcast, we appreciate you. Make sure you are subscribed or following whatever your app calls for. And how about as a gift to start the season, a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. I know we probably have a lot of people checking us out for the first time. Welcome. We are live after every game. We're on the air 5 days a week. So we are here for you. And that's not just in the season. That is off season too. Yeah. We are your one-stop shop for all things Blackhawks. So I think the end of this game kind of made the beginning feel a little less awful because as we talked about throughout the preseason, we knew with, 9 new faces on this team.
I think so.
Like if you talk about Allen and you talk about all those,
like Allen too, yeah,
right. Like that's a lot of new faces on the team, and it was going to take time for them to gel. And I think I almost come away from this, and if you asked me this 2 hours ago, I never would have said it. Almost encouraged that they were able to pull themselves out. They could have folded the tents so easily in this game.
Oh yeah,
2-0. First period should have been 4-0.
Close.
Then you do come out with a really good start in the third or second period, and then they score again, and now it's 3-0. God, like it would have been so easy for this team to quit, and they didn't quit. I think people that are going to wake up and see the final score of 5-2 are going to be like, "Here we go again." But if you actually watch the game, you saw a team that apparently received some sort of message after the first period, and the last 40, they were well in control of this game, and just a game of inches. There were so many, like Bedard tried to Michigan and it didn't work. Almost. Like there were, again, Bertuzzi hit the post. The second period, there were 3 posts hit. Then you also had the Taylor Hall one that landed on top of the net that almost fluttered in. There were so many almost chances. And up until the last second, until that empty netter was scored, this was anybody's game and the Hawks were in control. So we're starting to see, even through 60 minutes, the chemistry starting to work out. The line's starting to take shape. I'm really glad that Luke Richardson went to Foligno, Bedard, and Teravainen, and that worked really, really well. Here's our beef, and we were talking about this as we were waiting for the Uber. With 9 new faces, why are you, Luke Richardson, rolling out a new lineup for the first time to open the season? Weird. And second, when you see how the preseason has gone, we all had a blast at home away from home game where the Hawks kicked the crap out of the Blues.
Yeah.
Or Blues. Yeah.
Blues.
Whatever. It doesn't matter. That was super fun. It didn't accomplish anything for the NHL team.
Right. It was all the Ice Hogs.
After the performance in the game before that, they should have gone right back to the opening night lineup and said, work it out. Figure it out. And that's where you try your new lines and see how they work. I don't love the way Luke Richardson attacked this preseason. Let's see how it works out from here because it's 1 of 82. There were some positive signs in this game, but man, it really feels like a missed opportunity.
Yeah. on the broadcast, they were referring to this, this game as being like a dress rehearsal for the Blackhawks, and I blew a gasket because I was like, that's what the preseason's for. If we're shortening the preseason from 6 games to 4 games or whatever, then this team needed to use the preseason that way, and I don't want to focus on this too much because it's a preseason issue.
Sure,
but the messaging was competition in camp. The young guys got to fight for the roster. But if there was this thought process that was, well, Kevin Korchinski is going to go to the AHL anyway.
Yeah, predetermination.
Frank's going to go to the AHL anyway. Well, Landon Slager's going to go to the AHL anyway. Give them one preseason game then if you're already going to send them to the NHL, and then use 4 or 5 of those games to get your NHL guys some chemistry, work out your kinks there. And so when the games matter, when you get to this point, you're not just throwing things at the wall for the first game and saying, oh, let's see if it works. Like, you want to come into that first game confident of like, these are the pairs, these are the forward lineups, this is the power play group. We got some guys working together. They got some chemistry going, got some flow going, not trying to figure it out on the fly once there's points on the line.
Well, look, I understand not wanting to get your guys hurt. I get that, but
for sure, with all the injuries we saw, it's ridiculous.
But like, when you, Kyle Davidson, decide to add all these guys, that's what the preseason value is for. Look, if you're the Florida Panthers, who basically ran it back, they lost Oliver Ekman-Larsson. They lost a couple guys here or there. But for the most part, the Florida Panthers are the same Florida Panthers that won the Stanley Cup, plus Adam Boquist.
Sure. The big difference maker.
But a huge difference maker. There you ease into the preseason. You say, okay, let's get a look at some kids, and we know we've got all the chemistry here. The biggest issue in this game was chemistry. Guys not knowing where to be, guys making bad reads. And I think if you watch this game, if you want to encapsulate it, Philip Kurashev very rarely looks lost defensively. I saw 2, 3, or 4 incidents of Philip Kurashev looking like he wasn't sure where to go.
Yeah.
And when I see that from a guy like that who is so dependable defensively, he's not Patrice Bergeron, but when Philip Kurashev is on the ice, I feel pretty comfortable with things. Definitely hesitant. That first goal is a great example. If you go back and watch it, he kind of pauses at the blue line or right before the blue line in the neutral zone, and Kesserling just takes a step on him, and he's too late, and then he can't catch up from behind, and it's 1-0. When you see that, when you see veteran players look like they don't know what they're doing, that have a career proving that they absolutely do know what they're doing, it's chemistry, it's time, and I'm confident it's going to come. And I think by the end of the game, you started to see it a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and with Kurashev specifically, like he didn't play center a lot last year, but he has done it in the past. He did it in Rockford for a while. He was drafted out of junior as a center. Like he has an idea of how to play center. So it's just got to happen at the NHL level if that's where he's going to be moving forward. But yeah, I mean, I think that's something that if you're playing Philip Kurashev back at center, get out in the preseason, give him those reps to rediscover what being a center means and the pace of it at the NHL level. But yeah, it's frustrating because that first half, you feel like if you're more comfortable with the guys that you're playing with, that first half, I feel like it's easier to not let the 1 turn into 2, turn into 3, like we saw all of last year. And like we coming into this season was Nick Foligno in the preseason was saying, oh, we got into old habits. And, Seth Jones was saying, yeah, I don't know why we let these things snowball. And then it snowballs in the first game. And you're like, here we go again. But it is encouraging to move into game 2 that the second half of this game was a much more competitive. They took control of it. Maybe, Utah was trying to
they were playing prevent a little bit,
trying just to survive the storm. But it was good to see them start clicking, start putting some pressure on, and Peter Mrazek making some very important saves down the stretch after looking real shaky to start.
We got to hit the break zone. When we come back, we're going to get any super chats you have. I also want to share a piece of tape from Luke Richardson from before the game and an observation I had about what changed from the first to the second and third. But first, we want to tell you about our friends at Game Time it was really fun to be at a regular season sporting event tonight.
Yes, it was.
And you can go to any sporting event or concert or theater show you want with our friends at Game Time. We love the app. They've got those views from your seat, which are absolutely outstanding. And I'm perusing here. Hawks home opener. Get in the building for $44, and they're not standing room.
Yeah,
326 row 17,
that's your button to seat.
$44. 325 row 16, $46. There are good deals to be had on Game Time right now. And even if it is standing room, it's still not bad. But that 300 level in the United Center, you can see the whole ice.
You can see everything that happens on the ice. That 300 level.
You get to see the whole game.
Yeah.
So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHGO for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it, Mario? I'm not asking for the official U.S. time. I'm asking what time is it?
It is game time.
Woo!
There you go. Yeah. Hey, that's Blackhawks Sharks. That's
Sharks.
Bedard and Celebrini, and yeah, should
The
be a
Celebrini Bowl.
good game.
Yep.
Red carpet event now and everything.
All that jazz.
Speaking of red carpet, you know where they stop. You know where they might find that red carpet that they roll out at the United Center? They might have gotten it from our friends at Empire. And with Empire today, you get shop at home convenience. You get the right product for your needs and quick and professional installation and a low price guarantee. With Empire today, it's the best place to get new flooring. So, of course, they have copycats, but Empire cannot be beaten on quality, service, or speed. So competitors will advertise low-quality products that Empire simply will not carry. Empire won't promise the lowest prices because anyone who is doing that is putting flooring in your home that they wouldn't put in theirs. We are in a beautiful, definitely remodeled Airbnb. These
Do we
floors,
let the cat in yet?
These floors are nice. Yeah, there's multiple cats around here. These floors are nice, and I wonder if when they were doing the remodeling, they used Empire's virtual floor designer, which is a great way to see new floors in your room. All you got to do is take a picture of the room that you're looking to get new floors in, and see all the different options that Empire has, and see what will work for you. So schedule a free in-home estimate today, and all listeners of this lovely podcast can get a $350 off discount when you use the promo code CHGO. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/CHGO for details.
Question.
Yes.
Is $350 off discount redundant?
You can get three. I'm just reading what they got here. All right. $350 off.
All right, we got some super chats to get here. Broggy Scald says, if we play the way we did halfway through the second and to the third all season, I'm truly excited. Hawks could have won, but I'm not mad at all. Good to see that.
That makes
Mick Baconator says, good to see ESPN is in midseason form. That broadcast was awful. All right.
We only saw the third period of it.
Deadhawk, first line, Foligno, Bedard, Tavo. Yes, let's put a pin in that conversation too, because we are seeing some chemistry between two forwards on this team for sure.
Yeah.
And a $10, what is that? Rupees? I'm going to say rupees. He's calling from High Rule. Can we talk about how bad, terribly, historically inept the Hawks power play is? Can someone make sense of that? A big part of the power play is the inability to win faceoffs on the power play. When they get the puck in the zone, they're okay.
They can set up and look competent.
They just spend most of the power play retrieving the puck
and doing the drop pass.
Yeah. Hey, I asked Connor that, and he got, I don't know if he got upset, but he's like, everybody does it. It's the most popular one. I'm like,
well, you guys don't do it well.
You're kind of Bedard, and I'm not, so I will. I'll just take it. All right. Before we get to some of my thoughts on the second and third, can we hear what Luke had to say before today's game? Because we spent a lot of last year talking about effort and intensity, and with the guys they brought in today, I don't think effort and intensity were an issue.
Not intensity.
Jason Dickinson almost killed Clayton Keller.
Yeah. He attempted murder on him.
Pat Maroon almost killed every Utahn.
Yeah, he was
not only the team, but the fans.
He had personal beef leaving that game. That's for sure.
Personal beef. But the problem in this game was execution, and this was Luke Richardson prescient before the game today.
Part of performance is execution, and it's not just trying. Everybody's trying, hopefully, and I think at the end of the day, it's the best league in the world. You have to have execution, or someone else is going to have the opportunity to come and have that chance to do it.
I thought of that probably midway through the second period. Like, did Luke say something about this? Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did.
Yeah.
That was what it was. When you're talking about post getting hit, when you're talking about shots going wide,
Well, and the
turnovers
too.
were boy. That one at the blue line, was that the fourth line? Was that the second
Yeah, it was
goal?
Craig Smith,
Yeah, I think that was the second goal of the game.
Yeah.
Oh God! And those are the guys too, where it's like we don't expect a ton of offense. Just don't hurt us.
Right.
Don't hurt the team.
Well, and Craig Smith's the guy that you're like, oh, veteran,
Yeah.
like knows what to do.
Well,
in most situations.
I do think that building was hot. I think the ice was bad. Like when you see Connor Bedard like bite it in the corner unpressured, and he certainly wasn't the only one. And someone like Nick Schmaltz like whiff on a shot.
Yeah.
Taylor Hall had it happen several times.
It was rough.
The ice was not great, so that's part of it. But
what, 85 today in Utah?
Yeah, it was. The ice was not good. All right, so here's what I noticed from the first to the second and third. In the first period, the Hawks were very content to just dump the puck in and ice it, like airmail it.
Yeah.
I didn't count how many icings they had in the first period, but it was a lot. So you're down 2-0. Things aren't going your way. From the start of the second period, they started carrying the puck into the zone. And I almost said Arizona. Utah was just backing up, giving them space. Take it. Take what they give you. And I also think this could be part of the, not chemistry thing, but new faces, learning the system. Again, could have been helped out by some preseason time, saying we are coached to dump the puck in when we get the puck in the neutral zone, so we will dump it in. No, read the play, look what's available, look at what Utah's giving you, and react accordingly. And in the second and third, they started carrying the puck into the zone, controlling the puck in the zone as best they could with bad ice. And that's when the game turned. It was too late because they're down 2-0, then 3-0. And then no matter how hard they battled back, it wasn't enough to catch up. But once they adjusted to what the opponent was doing, they looked better, which is crazy because the second period is, oh no, wait, that's when they have the good line change. Never mind, on the road. So maybe that played part of it too, is they had the same zone. But I just think that's the willingness to take what the other team is giving you instead of trying to force the system, which goes right back to the damn slingshot power play.
Yeah. I mean, I think, I don't want to say this team is still searching for an identity, but I think they are. I think but it's different. Last year was, they don't have an identity because they didn't have the horses to really do anything.
Right.
Now they do. Now it's about figuring out what is each line's identity going to be. And I think coming into this year, we figured bottom six is pretty set. Be the hardworking guys, be the forechecking guys, play heavy, play defensively responsible. Top six, be your production group. But I feel like that should have been how we were coming into this season. But then you kind of mix up some lines, you mix up some guys who have different strengths. And something Nick Foligno said before the game was, trying to sink into that identity feeling, being a team that's going to be north-south, play tough, play physical, play behind the team, and talk about like chipping it in and going in and winning board battles. And I just don't think that this top six group is built to do that. With, if you're saying like, if it's Mikheyev, Bedard, Teravainen, like, yeah, that's some speed. Mikheyev's a guy that's going to go into a corner, but Bedard and Teravainen are not those guys. If you have Taylor Hall, who's a big body, can play inside, but do you want him battling behind the net and in the corners? Not all the time. Tyler Bertuzzi can do that, but I'd like to see him do it more often. And
good third period.
And
I got to give him credit. He had a good third.
Sure, yeah. And Philip Kurashev, which we talked about earlier, he's playing center. Like, he's going to take some time to kind of settle into that role. So I think if you're talking about like trying to find an identity, you put Nick Foligno on the top line with Bedard and Teravainen, and immediately it changed. And I think that can be something that can be a little bit of an identity group, because you have three guys that know how to work together to fit their roles. Teravainen and Bedard work off of each other. You're the producers. Nick Foligno is going to be the guy that's going to go into corners, win board battles, and you know that he can do it. Mikheyev on the, if he switches to the third line in Foligno's spot, then you have speed with Dickinson and Mikheyev. You have Joey Anderson there, like three guys that really can all go into corner. Like that's still an identity line. And I think the way that Bedard and Foligno worked together last year, which I talk about an odd couple, if you would have thought when Foligno was here, oh yeah, he's going to be paired with Bedard and he's going to work really well with him. You wouldn't have thought that at all, but it's actually worked. But the times that they were paired together last year, it worked. Today, late in the game, it kind of turned things, in that late second period into the third period. So I think establishing an identity with maybe even starting with groups and pairs of guys together defensively and in forwards group that have worked together, that's a way to go. I feel like this team might be at a spot where it's just like, let's just see what we know works right now and then tinker around the edges and see what we can do, rather than just kind of throwing everything into a mixing pot and say, go have an identity, guys. Like, go figure it out. Like, you might just have to work with the guys that have been here.
Yeah.
And go from there.
We're going to hear from Greg Boysen here in a little bit. He'll be joining us from the Delta Center. Luke Richardson has spoken. He will tell you what he had to say and some stuff from the locker room as well. Your point about Foligno is interesting because you're right. He's not the kind of guy that you would imagine would work well with Bedard, but what Foligno has, and this is not a knock on anybody. There's not a knock on Mikheyev. It's not a knock on Bertuzzi. Nick Foligno is established. Nick Foligno knows what he is. He's comfortable with what he is. He's not worried about his next contract. He's not worried about putting up points and numbers. He is going to do 100% of the time the right thing. Maybe it won't work. Maybe he'll whiff on a puck. Maybe his stick will break. Things will happen where it won't be 100% successful. But you know that Nick Foligno is going to do the right thing for the team at the time, all the time. And again, I don't want to say I'm saying that Mikheyev and Bertuzzi or whoever else you want to throw on that other wing spot with Bedard and Teuvo wouldn't do it, but you just know that is Foligno's number one priority, is get these two the puck, because when those two have the puck, magical things happen.
Yeah.
And he knows and he can do it. And like, he also, I think because of his age, because of his self-deprecating style, we have a little bit diminished the skill that Nick Foligno has. Nick Foligno is an all-star. Nick Foligno has played on lines with really, really good NHL players on really, really good NHL teams. He's no schlub. Nick Foligno is a good hockey player that can play, and I don't want to say thrive, but can succeed in any role you give him. And I do think putting him there and then moving Mikheyev down to that third slot, what that also does is it helps you distribute your offense a little bit better. You're not so top heavy. And maybe Foligno's a better goal scorer than Mikheyev, like on paper or whatever. But in terms of game style, I think you throw a little more offense potential with Mikheyev on the third line, have Foligno do the dirty work on the top line. I just think it falls much better that way.
Yeah.
It makes a lot more sense. And again, this is for now. If they want to start working on these new line combos in practice and figure it out, great. But you separated Alex Vlasic and Seth Jones. Why?
Yeah, and
like,
then you
works.
paired them back together again.
You went back to it in the second or third period. Like, just it works. Can I, by the way, before we hit the break zone, this is going to be hot take, Stephen A. Smith.
Oh boy.
I am predicting that before his contract in Chicago ends, TJ Brody will be bought out. TJ Brody,
only 2 years,
had a horrible game.
Rough.
He can't control the puck. He can't win a battle. He was
really rough.
Absolutely terrible. And I haven't even looked at the blue lines yet.
Yeah, you don't have to look far for TJ Brody.
He is the lowest rated player in the game.
Yeah.
Minus 2.74 game rating. Oof, that's real bad.
Yeah. He was rough. Really rough defensively. I'd like to give it more than just one game before saying, oh boy, you got to bench him. But he looked slow. He looked out of position. Yeah, like you said, he had some rough handling the puck spots. Like Isaac Phillips was up by us.
Isaac Phillips is a better player
press
than
box.
TJ Brody right now.
You know, we're waiting on Wyatt Kaiser's health.
Wyatt Kaiser's better.
Those are two guys that are mobile.
Kevin Korchinski's better.
Also mobile.
Ethan Del Mastro's better.
Mobile. Yeah, I think I think Brody is a guy that you're really gonna have to take a hard look at and say, like, what are you bringing to the table here? Because you have younger guys that are more part of the future than he is, that are more mobile. And I think that's the biggest thing right now with this team is they got older, they got more experienced, they also got slower. So you have to figure out, like, if the guys that you've brought in are being effective, if you can be effective not as a fast team, then that's, you got to figure that out. But if you can't, the best thing you can do is, if you're not effective, at least be fast.
Yeah,
we know that. We've seen players that can do that.
That would be good. That would be a nice added bonus.
Yeah, with Brody, if you're not effective, you need someone who at least can work themselves out of those rough spots with their skating.
All right, Greg Boysen is standing by at the Delta Center. We will bring him in momentarily, but first, we are sponsored by the Chicago Sports Network, the new home of the Blackhawks, Bulls, and White Sox games. CHSN will broadcast more than 300 live games per year across the Blackhawks, Bulls, and White Sox, and will feature a full lineup of original Chicago-focused sports content. They're also Chicago-based, Chicago-built, and Chicago to the core, and they're bringing it to every corner of Chicago across their 77 neighborhoods and beyond. It's CHSN, not to be confused with CHGO. Chicago comes first. Visit chsn.com for more info on how to watch the Bulls, Hawks, and Sacks all season long.
Yes. And when those games end, we're here.
Indeed.
And when those games end, you can reach into your nice, cold, rugged road cooler and choose chill. And keeping those frosty beverages nice and frosty is your Rugged Road cooler. Rugged Road is dedicated to creating innovative and durable outdoor gear for adventurers who demand the best. Their products are designed with the highest quality materials and craftsmanship, ensuring that they perform in the toughest of conditions. Whether you're on land or water, Rugged Road gear is built to accompany you on every adventure. One of the most unique features of Rugged Road coolers is their ability to always float upright. You can never lose a drink when you're floating down a river or sitting in the lake or breaking the rules and bringing drinks to the pool. Hey, at least they're floating. And unlike other heavy-duty coolers, Rugged Road coolers are incredibly light, making them easy to transport on any trip without compromising on performance. So, gear up for your next adventure with Rugged Road coolers. They are reliable, durable, and built to be used. Rugged Road is your ultimate outdoor companion. You can head to ruggedroadoutdoors.com. And when you do, you can use the promo code CHGO and get 10% off of your purchase.
Speaking of rugged, durable, and meant to be used, let's go out to the Delta Center and bring in our friend Greg Boysen. He's coming. He'll be here momentarily. Got to change the screen over here. Produce on the fly. There he is.
There he is.
Hey, that was one heck of an intro.
Hi, Greg.
Hey. You guys hear me all right there in the fancy Plantville?
We can hear you.
I do. We are between two ferns.
Yes, never been done before. First time ever.
Are they ferns?
I got to move out from the score bug.
We're between two greeneries.
Yeah, so
right. Did Luke Richardson yell at everybody?
I don't think so. He was obviously not happy with the first period, but as we all should be, very encouraged by the second and third periods. He just said the Utah was quicker to get to their game. They had that good. Jason Dickinson had a good opportunity early in the game, and they just weren't able to build on that. And Utah, they were a different team in the first period than we saw the rest of the game. They were obviously feeding off the energy in the building. Awesome crowd here. They were into it from start to finish. They fed off that. They were definitely playing amped up and had some adrenaline. And then you go sit for 17 minutes. You kind of lose that. And the Hawks, were very good that second and third period. So, just both he and Nick Foligno said that, like, last year we saw a lot of those slow starts and people were worried. And, both Richardson and Foligno said that they're not, like, they don't think it was that. They're not worried about it, and they're hoping for a better start in Winnipeg next time out.
Well, I think the way the game ended eased the pain of the first period, because the first period was awful. It was hard to watch. It was, oh my God, here we go again. 82 more games of this. The preseason was not just the preseason. This is what this team is. And all of a sudden they seem to figure it out. And it's a shame that it took them 20 minutes to do that, but at least it got there. And at least at the end of the game, I would say for the last 40 minutes, they were significantly better than Utah.
They were the better team tonight. They dictated the play for most of the final 40 minutes. They had more scoring chances. They hit 4 posts tonight. They were right there. They start bearing a couple of those chances, and they'll be in a good spot. And Luke Richardson said that all the Utah goals were scored off of Blackhawk mistakes, not anything that they necessarily were doing. They, as in Utah, it was the Blackhawks shooting themselves in the foot. So Luke Richardson says, if you clean up those mistakes early and then you start burying those chances instead of hitting posts, this is a completely different game. And that's what he expects going forward. So a first period, in a setting like this, first game for a brand new team, sold out house. And this is a unique building. If you've never been here to the crowd, it's very similar to for our graybeards out there. It's very similar to the Chicago Stadium. The crowd is right on top of you. This is a vertical stadium. So, I think it probably took a few minutes for them to be like, whoa, this is a weird sensation. But they got it together. And I tweeted out as the game ended, the final score is misleading. It certainly looked after the first period it was going to be a 5-2 game. The Blackhawks were the better team for most of the night. The difference was Connor Ingram made some huge saves in the third period, and Peter Mrazek couldn't get that big save in the first period. There's your difference at the end of the night.
Yeah, that definitely changes the trajectory of things. Is some of those first period saves from Mrazek, just lots of rebounds. He was definitely fighting it. It's tough to overcome that. I think a lot of the worry of this season, I think, started in that first period of the, like, here it goes again. And I think what we didn't see last year was any games that ended with a good third period didn't carry over to a good start to the next game. Like it just really, I feel like very rarely did anything like carry momentum. So I think what's good to see is that the last half of this game was better than the first half. It's only going to carry anything if the start to the next game looks like the way that the second and third periods did in this game. So I'm encouraged by the way the game ended, but I think the way the next game starts is going to be important, because if it looks like the same thing again, then we're back to square one with this is the same team doing the same things, where they don't get into a game right away, and then they're chasing it, and then every game starts to feel like, well, yeah, they were down 3-0, but they really made it a game, but they're still coming up short.
Yeah, I'm not in for 82 moral victories.
No, nobody is. Nobody on this show, nobody in that locker room. But I am encouraged the way they came out after that first period. That first period was like, I was ready to turn to you guys and be like, have fun with that post-game show. It's going to be a doozy, but they certainly played well. I want to talk a little bit about something that I've seen a little bit in the chat. It's been discussed, on Twitter and everywhere else. A lot of people say they want Kurashev and Bedard back together. I really liked what I saw with Kurashev and Taylor Hall. Those guys should have each had a goal or more tonight. The start of that second period, they set the tone. It was that Kurashev-Taylor line. And you saw Bedard and Tavo start building some chemistry as the game went on. They hooked up for that goal. A scout years ago told me that lines aren't three guys. You need duos, and then you can kind of interchange the third guy.
Interesting.
You have Bedard and you have Tavo. And then now if you have Kurashev and Hall, you have two really good duos, and you can just plug and play the matchups on that third guy like you did tonight. You started with Mikheyev, you put Foligno there, but the key is you still have Bedard and Tavo. Now that if Kurashev can get that same chemistry going with Hall that he had with Bedard, you've got two really good lines. And it doesn't matter who that third guy is because they're just going to feed off those two duos.
That's interesting. I'd never heard that before, but it does make sense because you talk about historically great partners as duos. Solane and Correa, Bure and McGillney. It goes on and on that way, and it's Kane and Taves. Even though they didn't play together all the time, they're kind of synonymous. And it is interesting.
Look at Kane here. It was Kane and Panarin, and who cares who else? It was Kane and DeBrincat. Tell me who else played on that line. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
Artem Anisimov.
Anisimov. By the way, a moment of silence for the career of Artem Anisimov. Thank you very much. Blackhawks legend. Good old number 15. I'm surprised his name wasn't up on the scoreboard today.
Yeah, they didn't. They didn't go that far.
Did we have that conversation on the show?
No, we haven't talked about it yet.
So here, for those that weren't at the Delta Center, and how dare you, game time, come on. They had on the screen the players on the ice. So, it was like number 9, Keller, number 11, Gunther. And then for the Hawks, it was number 17, Strome, number 77, Doc, number 16, Kara. They had
number
Ryan
8,
Carpenter is
Kubalik.
They had and they did have 15 Smith, but as Mario pointed out, it's probably for Zach Smith.
Yes.
We did.
Zach Smith was a Blackhawk. Yeah,
we were talking to the Blackhawks PR after the game, and they said that was something they relayed to the Utah PR staff. Like, hey, you may want to download NHL 25. You're playing with an old version there.
Roster
update. They definitely have some. This was a really good first impression here in Utah. As I said, the crowd was awesome. Game presentation, they got some things to work on. But they'll get better at that.
This guy here is dead.
They are super into chugging beers and showing guys chugging beers here. It got to the point you guys had just left. 2 little people, not Pete Blackburn, but legit little people. It's okay. Pete retweeted my tweet about this, so he's laughing about it. 2 little people took off their shoes, poured their beer in their shoes, and chugged the beer out of their shoes. That's a thing that happened tonight. So my favorite part was they did a public service announcement by Bud Light to please remember to drive home to drink responsibly, and then proceeded to show 9 people in a row drink a full beer.
In fairness,
irony is not dead.
They're very tiny shoes.
Yes, and I do want to say before my segment ends here, while this was an overall successful night for the Utah Hockey Club and for the league to get some excitement, my heart still goes out to the loyal Coyote fans. If you haven't seen the thread that our colleague and friend Leah Merrill posted earlier, it's a tough night for those folks. So as excited as people are here in Utah, there are a lot of people, believe it or not, that are Coyotes fans that it kind of sucks, and they don't have anything to really be excited about for hockey season, because every time they flip on a Utah game, they're just going to be reminded like this should still be here and still be our team. So kind of a weird night where you feel happy for one new fan base who seems into it, but you still feel bad for a loyal fan base that just got screwed.
There were a lot of Coyote jerseys around the arena tonight. Like you saw a lot of it. Still, just it's all of those guys that were built up through the Coyotes are now the faces of this team, and it just it really does just stink that that fan base is not able to enjoy it. It'd be one thing if this was an expansion, but it's a team that should have succeeded if the people in charge of them wanted to run it in that way.
Yeah.
And now that fan base, they don't get to fully enjoy it because it's not technically theirs anymore.
Well, I saw Gary Bettman even said at pregame, like, we gave it 25 years to work. We did everything we could to make it work in Arizona. They probably did more than they should have to make it work in Arizona. But I mean, just try to put yourself in the shoes of a diehard Coyotes fan at this point in this, group of players development where they are right on the cusp of not greatness, but goodness, potential greatness.
Yeah.
Now with an owner that's invested, that wants to win, that's putting them in positions to win and grow and build. It's got to be the most painful thing to watch from that perspective. And I feel awful for the Coyotes fan. Shane Doan was walking around the concourse today talking to Coyotes fans. Very cool. Yeah, it's brutal. Good point, though. I'm glad you mentioned that, Greg.
Yeah, and I think one of the other topics I want to cover real quickly is that second power play unit. I don't know if you discussed it or not, but like
the fourth line.
The fourth, your second power play unit should not be your fourth line. But
yes,
that is why Lucas Reichel and Andreas Athanasiou need to figure it out and get in the lineup. And maybe they're in the lineup as soon as Friday night. You put those guys on your second power play unit. Yes, they haven't produced a whole lot lately, but at least it looks better. It feels better. You have guys that are a threat to at least produce a scoring chance as opposed to your fourth line taking an extra shift.
Well, that's a really good point. There's a couple things too in that regard. And when we get to talk to Luke again, I want to ask him, you pull the goalie and Bertuzzi's your extra skater. Why is Tyler Bertuzzi not on a power play? And you have Ilya Mikheyev on your top line for the first two periods. Why isn't he on the power play? It's not. I like Pat Maroon on the power play. It makes all the sense in the world. He's a big body. He's willing to go to the net. He's got good hands. He does well behind the net too. Great. But Craig Smith and like Ryan Donato works his ass off, but he's Ryan Donato. He's not a power play player. So I don't know. It's game one. I don't want to overreact to anything, but I'm curious why Bertuzzi's your empty net guy. Mikheyev's your first liner for 40 minutes, but neither of them can get on the ice for the power play.
Well, Bertuzzi's on the top power play. The
Bertuzzi's on the top power play.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
All Bedard, Teravainen, Bertuzzi, and Jones. But that's the problem is
spread it out then.
Your top line is basically your top six.
Like you said, duos, that's all I think of.
Yeah.
Other winger doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, Greg said that. But yeah, I mean, at this point I would take the second power play unit involving Jason Dickinson and Nick Foligno, which I think would be better off from an offensive standpoint, but those are also the guys that you're gonna use on the penalty kill a lot too. So you can't have those guys out there for 20 minutes a night. Like I think, yeah, to the point of, it'd be really nice to have Lucas Reichel and Andreas Athanasiou playing at a point where you can put them in the lineup, you can trust them to be productive and effective, and then also have them as secondary scoring options. That'd be wonderful. We just gotta see it from them to get them in the lineup. And I don't know if there's anyone from this game's performance in the forwards group that you just automatically take out of the lineup to put one of those guys in.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the problem. I mean, ideally, if everything's going as they would like it to, your second power play unit would be, at least in my world, you'd have Maroon out there for the net front presence. You can have Kurashev kind of out there as that bumper role, like he was on that unit. And then if you have Athanasiou and Reichel, and I'd put Alex Vlasic as that quarterback on that one. I mean, we saw tonight, I mean, that second goal was because he's at the point taking a big slapper. He can do that on the power play. So at least if you have Athanasiou and Reichel out there, at least zone entries should theoretically be easier with those guys' speed coming up the wings. As we know, those guys have issues shooting and finishing, but at least it's a little more dangerous. But hey, here's the best solution to not knowing who to put on your second power play unit. Have your first power play unit score.
That would be helpful. Yes, I'd appreciate that.
Why didn't we think of that before?
All right, but Greg, before we let you go, let's do Who's Your Hawk? You had the first pick. You are the arbiter of all things Who's Your Hawk. Who is the wiener tonight?
There we go. First pick. Went out on a limb, took Connor Bedard. It was a rough start, but he finished with 7.5 points. Then we have Teuvo Teravainen at 5 points, and Seth Jones got you 2 points with an assist and a couple of shots. So, that's a good start. So the way we're going to do it from here on out is we're going to, the picks will be based on the overall season standing. So Jay, you'll get Connor Bedard in game 2.
Yep.
And we'll roll from there. But picking first helps. We didn't bring the chain to Utah. We forgot the chain.
I didn't want Customs to get it.
Yeah.
Customs.
I was sneaking some other stuff in,
Oh, sure.
It's Utah. Can't fit that in my pants.
That's what she said.
Well, she actually didn't.
Boy.
All right, that is Greg Boysen live from, what is it, Delta Center?
Delta Center, yes.
Yeah, it also has a
Vivint Arena.
Vivint
whatever the
Arena,
hell.
too?
It came up on Uber as the Vivint Arena. I don't
All right.
I'm going to try and figure out how to get the heck out of this building because
don't
getting
get
down
lost in the
for
construction.
post game was a adventure, to say the least. But I'll see you guys soon. Do me a favor. Unlock the door so I don't have to try and find that long code to get in again.
We'll unlock the door and we will throw the pizza in the oven.
Oh, you guys are the best.
All right. There he goes. That's Greg Boysen live from the Delta Center, which has a statue to 2 of the NBA's most storied losers, John Stockton and Karl Malone. And if you missed it on the old Twitters today, you may have missed that the Wi-Fi network at the Delta Center is legitimately Jordan pushed off. Get over it. Losers.
That's okay.
Losers mentality. That's what that is.
That's fine. It's 2 people who Utah can keep.
Yep.
Karl Malone and John Stockton. That's fine.
I think we have another super chat I want to get to here from Tim. He says, I never want to see a post or a crossbar again. Well, at least in terms of the Blackhawks hitting them, yes. They were pretty beneficial for the Hawks a couple times.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The post, it could have been 4-0 in that first period had, a shot from Utah gone a quarter of an inch the other way to steal some from the Mighty Ducks, who, by the way,
yes,
the Utah jerseys, when they came out for the player introductions and they were all at center ice, I got Mighty Ducks, the Hawks team that was the evil team. I got those vibes
almost
real
identical.
fast. It was like, I was like, oh man, this is feeling very villainous.
They should have done the flying V to defeat said Utahns.
Yeah, the offsides flying V.
Yeah, really. I do want to take a minute though, like that. They did a really good job, and
it was done really
what
well.
we experienced earlier today, as they were literally assembling the arena, like. When we left morning skate, people were putting the ads on the boards.
Yeah,
they were literally
adhering
the ads to the boards.
The stickers up. Yeah.
There were, if you look at us on Twitter, Kyle Davidson, a giant Utah hockey club punk goes right past us. We had to stop the interview for a second.
We had to move the interview because it was going to be right next to like a soda machine because they were like, we got to clear this hallway because they're still building part of this arena.
And not that anyone cares about our trials and tribulations, but the auxiliary press box was just an empty suite that we literally sat in like the stadium seats. So we had no tables to work with in order to really take notes. So I had like my laptop on my lap, and
it was also like the obstructed view worries in that arena are true.
And it's not just the ends either.
Yeah, because even in the spots where it wasn't like obscenely bad, where it's just like, oh, you can't see a third of the ice. We were like probably in line with one of the blue lines, the ones that the Hawks attacked twice.
Yeah,
twice. And it was if the play was at the near boards on your and on the TV broadcast too, it had the same issue. If the play was at the near boards, you just didn't see it because of the fans that were kind of like in line, cut off your view, and then just how vertical you are. The play was you just lose it on the board. So there was the Murphy Dursey fight. I couldn't see
no
any
clue
of it until they
They also didn't announce
away.
the penalty until well into the Hawks power play. I looked at Greg. I go, What happened?
Yeah,
He
what's
goes,
the penalty?
he goes, Murphy and Jersey fought. I go, the Hawks are on the power play.
Right, yeah.
And they had never announced. There was some of that, like some of the in-game stuff was fine. But I got to say, though, those will all work out. They'll figure that out.
Yeah.
The experience in that building was outstanding.
Yeah.
And I think as we talk about the experience from the Coyotes fans' perspective too, seeing that energy, seeing that enthusiasm, seeing that, like, even just seeing, is it Ryan Smith? Is that his name? Yeah,
Yes,
it's like the most
Ryan
basic
Smith.
name in the world.
Former
Like
Oiler.
just seeing his enthusiasm about owning this team
Yeah.
and his commitment to it, it's got to be so difficult. And
yeah.
I can't imagine that. Fortunately, in Chicago, we haven't seen one of our teams relocate until the Sox go to Nashville, and that's going to be painful for them. So painful.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
Did we read this super chat here that I see on?
Yeah, I think we got this one already, but in case I missed it, I'll do it again. From Broggy, said if we play the way we did halfway through the second and into the third all season, I'm truly excited. Hawks could have won, but I'm not mad at all. Yeah, I think we did that one already too. But yeah, it was a good experience there for sure. So if you're out this way, give it a shot. Kind of enjoyed Salt Lake City. It's interesting. Didn't really know what to expect in terms of what the town would be like, but the climate here is lovely.
It's mountainous.
Beautiful mountains. A little more artsy than I expected, I would say. Like there's a little bit of a scene, it seems like.
There is some local art.
Yeah.
Next to the Airbnb.
Yes. By the way, this Airbnb is fantastic.
It's
but I
nice.
think 3 or 4 years ago, probably not so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But it's a nice spot. So if you get a chance to come see a game here, definitely take the opportunity. Really good experience, great fans, good food options, huge concourse.
Yeah, concourse
like very maneuverable. So it's a cool place to see a game. So highly recommend it.
They also have
good job.
I took an adventure to try and meet one of our fans in the first intermission. Wasn't successful because I don't know how to navigate this area of the arena. But they have like an upper deck golf lounge. So
I saw. Yeah, I saw
so
that.
they had like a golf simulator,
like a simulator. Oh, that's cool.
With a bar, and then you just walk out and there's the arena. Like, so if you're into golf and hockey, come on out and you can golf in the intermissions and watch the hockey game. It's pretty cool.
It was cool. And the guy who was on the flight with us was talking to you, right, Law, about like go 30 minutes. You can see bisons and rams and all sorts of.
There's like an island with all.
Yeah,
those things.
It's a cool place. I'd like to spend some like non-work time here and explore it a little bit. I've enjoyed the 48 hours we're gonna have here. So yeah, well, look, I know we have a lot of people watching. Again, if you're a first timer, please do us a favor, hit that like button for us. We would really, really appreciate that. I know we've got a big, lots of people watching and not a lot of likes. So please just get in the habit. It helps us out so much. It takes half a second, and subscribe. So when we go live or CHGO Bears goes live or whoever goes live, you get notified. If you don't like it, you can turn that off too, but it's an option for you if you want it. And again, if you're a first timer, you probably haven't heard about our Die Hard program at allchgo.com. It's awesome. So here's what you get. Immediately upon signing up, you get a free shirt or hat of your choice from our All City Network store. You receive 20% off all of our merch beyond that, 20% off all of our events, which is going to include at least 2 United Center takeovers this year.
At least 2.
We've got the Bears are in London this week. So if you wanted to go to London with the Bears, you'd save 20% on that.
They're going to Arizona later this season.
Yeah, and I see they're going to do a golf outing with the PHNX folks. So that's going to be another 20% you could save. So you get the free shirt, you go to an event, you get 20% off another shirt. It basically pays for itself. You also get access to our members only Discord. We're going to be active during road games when we're in the studio on Discord, and we'll be more active on off days and stuff like that. So that's for diehards only. It's great. Check out all the merch. It's store.allcitynetwork.com. Pick out the one you want, become a diehard, and it will be yours for free. All right, we're going to be back Thursday. We're off tomorrow because we're traveling. Thursday, I believe we're at 2:30, right?
Yeah, Thursday is just a regular
and then
show,
Friday we got a
2:30
game
Central
again.
Time, and then Friday road game.
Let's do
with
it.
a pregame. We'll do a pregame.
Yeah, we'll do a pregame. Yep.
First pregame of the year.
In studio road games, we will do pregame shows. So look forward to that. We're gonna throw Luke Richardson post-game audio up on YouTube. So it should be up in about a half hour or so. So stay tuned for that. We didn't have the set up to get it done tonight, but that will be typical on most post-game shows as well. So I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, tell a friend. If you didn't, don't tell them you didn't like it. Just, just don't say anything.
Just smile and nod.
Just hit the like button. That's all we care about. We love you all for being here. Thank you so much. 81 games to go plus playoffs. We'll talk to you Thursday at 2:30 on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.